Frio County, Texas. 100 acres of ruined corn, shredded down to the dirt in a single night. Jim, a 58-year-old farmer, kneels in the dust, running a broken stalk through his calloused hands. No dramatic music, just the hollow whistle of the West Texas wind and the heavy sigh of a man watching his livelihood bleed out. Right now, an invisible army is eating America alive. We are looking at $2.5 billion in agricultural damage every single year. To put that in perspective, that is enough cash to rebuild downtown Austin from the ground up annually. Here is the terrifying truth. Humanity has orbital satellites, thermal drones, and high-precision rifles. Yet we have been losing a brutal, quiet war to a four-legged beast for over 500 years. Our failure did not come from a lack of firepower. It came because we completely misunderstood the enemy. Welcome to the channel. If you love deep, authentic stories about history, nature, and survival, hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss an episode. Let us break down how a wild pig outsmarted the most powerful nation on Earth. To understand why every conventional effort to stop them has failed, you have to stop looking at wild hogs as mere animals. What we are dealing with here is a living, breathing, biological computer network. When a farmer or hunter looks out at a field, they see a sounder, a group of roaming pigs. But in reality, that sounder operates exactly like a distributed server network. Each individual hog functions as a node in a decentralized system. If you take out one node, the rest of the network does not panic or crumble. Instead, the entire system immediately receives a threat update, processes the data, and alters its behavior in real time. They instantly reroute their travel corridors, change their feeding times, and disappear deeper into the thick brush. You might get one pig, but you have just programmed the remaining 20 to be completely uncatchable. At the absolute center of this organic intelligence network sits the matriarch. She is the living algorithm of the herd. This old sow holds the entire operational memory of the group. She knows where every trap was set 5 years ago, what gun oil smells like from a mile downwind, and which paths lead to safety. When danger approaches, she does not just run away. She leaves behind a complex trail of chemical signals, releasing fear pheromones from glands in her hooves and skin. These chemical warnings linger in the soil, teaching the young piglets precisely which areas to avoid without the matriarch ever having to utter a sound. It is a biological handoff of survival data, passed seamlessly from one generation to the next. Even if you manage to corner one, their physical build is nothing short of incredible engineering. Take a look at a mature boar. Beneath that thick, coarse hair lies a literal plate of natural body armor. Over time, as a boar rubs against pine trees to cover itself in sticky resin and wallows in heavy clay, a dense shield of hardened cartilage and connective tissue builds up over its shoulders. This shield can grow to be nearly 2 inches thick. Standard handgun rounds and small caliber rifle bullets often flatten right out against it or get lodged in the tissue without reaching any vital organs. It is the biological equivalent of level 2 body armor, custom-built by nature to absorb impact and protect the heart and lungs. Then there is the sheer mathematical nightmare of their reproduction rate. A young female reaches breeding age at just 6 months old. Her gestation period follows a precise pattern: 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days, which comes out to exactly 114 days. A single sow can drop 2 litters a year, averaging 6 to 8 piglets per litter. If you do the math, starting with just one healthy pair of wild hogs, assuming zero intervention and normal survival rates, that single pair can explode into a population of over 1,500 descendants in just 5 short years. No other large mammal on the North American continent can multiply with that kind of terrifying efficiency. What makes them truly dangerous, though, is their ability to adapt on the fly. Wild hogs are not rigid in their habits. The moment humans step up hunting pressure during the day, the hogs execute a complete operational shift. Within 48 hours, an entire sounder will switch to being 100% nocturnal. They retreat into the dense river bottoms during daylight hours and emerge only under the cover of pitch darkness. As their vision adjusts to the night, their senses of smell and hearing sharpen to an unbelievable degree. They can catch the scent of a human boot print left hours ago, or hear the faint click of a rifle safety engaged 200 yards away through heavy timber. Where are you watching this video from? Please tell us your country or city in the comments, and let's explore together. When you combine a decentralized communication network, a matriarch storing decades of survival wisdom, built-in body armor, exponential population growth, and instant nocturnal adaptation, you quickly realize something sobering. We are not fighting an overpopulated farm animal. We are fighting one of the most resilient biological machines nature has ever produced. And as Texas learned the hard way, trying to beat a machine like that with brute force alone is a guaranteed way to lose. To understand how we ended up in this absolute nightmare, you have to realize that this whole crisis was created by human hands, step by step, over centuries of terrible decisions. It all started back in 1539, when Spanish explorer Hernando de Soto landed in Florida with 13 domestic pigs as a walking meat supply. A few escaped into the dense swamps, reverting to their wild instincts. For centuries, these wild domestic pigs quietly roamed the South. They were a nuisance, sure, but they were manageable. Then came the early 20th century, when wealthy game ranches began importing pure Eurasian wild boars from Russia for sport hunting. Naturally, these Russian boars escaped their enclosures too, and that is when nature unleashed the ultimate biological disaster. The domestic feral pigs began breeding with the massive Russian wild boars. The resulting hybrid, often called a super pig, inherited the absolute worst traits of both species. From their domestic ancestors, they kept the ability to breed like crazy, producing massive litters twice a year. From the Russian wild boar, they got massive bone structure, high intelligence, extreme aggression, and a thick skin built for brutal winters. By the 1970s, lawmakers made another massive blunder by allowing private hunting preserves to transport these hybrid pigs across state lines. What was supposed to be a contained hunting business scattered this super hybrid across 39 states like wildfire. So how do you stop a creature like that? For decades, Americans did what Americans do best. We grabbed our guns. Landowners spent millions on high-powered rifles, night vision optics, and even helicopters, unleashing total war from the sky. Have you ever seen a wild hog hunt from a helicopter? Or maybe participated in one yourself? Drop a comment below and let us know what you think about aerial hunting. Because here is the brutal statistical reality. Wildlife biologists calculate that to simply keep the wild hog population steady, to keep it from growing by a single digit, we have to eradicate 70% of the total population every single year. Read that again. Not 10%, not 30%, 70%, year after year just to break even. And despite all the AR-15S, the thermal scopes, and the high-tech aerial gunners raining lead from above, hunters across the country barely manage to remove 20 to 30% annually. We are not even scratching the surface. In fact, all that gunfire actually made the problem 10 times worse. When you fly a helicopter over a large sounder of 30 hogs and shoot 8 of them, you think you won. But you did not. You just scattered the remaining 22 traumatized survivors across miles of unfamiliar terrain. That single large sounder breaks apart into 4 or 5 smaller groups, spreading into new counties where they never existed before. The gunfire acts as an evolutionary filter, killing off the careless ones and leaving only the absolute smartest, most cautious hogs to pass on their genes. This brings us to a huge psychological trap known as action bias. Human beings are hardwired to react to a threat with immediate, aggressive motion. When a farmer sees his crops torn apart, his instant instinct is to grab a gun, go out into the night, and start shooting. It feels good. It feels like you are taking control and solving the problem right then and there. Farmers spent hundreds of thousands of dollars driving heavy wooden posts and stringing miles of reinforced steel wire fences across their land. But a 300-pound boar with a neck made of solid muscle will simply root underneath that expensive fence or lift the entire structure off the ground with its snout. Millions of dollars in fencing now sit in the Texas dirt, acting as useless monuments to human arrogance. Our need for instant gratification made us blind to the long game. We kept throwing bullets and steel at a problem that required patience, strategy, and deep observation. Every time we squeezed a trigger without a master plan, we were not solving the crisis. We were simply educating our enemy, turning a wild animal into an unstoppable force. When wildlife managers in Texas finally realized that guns, dogs, and brute force were only making the hogs smarter, they stopped acting like soldiers and started thinking like behavioral psychologists. They completely threw out the old playbook. Instead of asking how to hunt a hog, they asked a radically different question. How do we design an experience so comforting that an entire sounder will voluntarily walk into captivity? This shift in mindset created a revolutionary three-layer strategy that transformed wild hog management from a failing war into a precise, high-tech science. The first layer is pure psychological conditioning. It is a 15-day process designed to systematically erase thousands of years of wild instinct. It starts with the bait. Hogs have a sense of smell that can pick up scent miles away, so trappers use sour, fermented corn soaked in lactic acid. That pungent, sweet and sour aroma travels through dense woods like a beacon, drawing pigs from 2 miles out. During the first 5 days, trappers scatter this fermented corn strictly outside the trap area. The trap itself is a massive circular steel enclosure, but its walls are suspended high off the ground, completely open on all sides. The hogs walk up, eat freely, and see no barriers. From day 6 to day 10, trappers move the bait deeper inside the ring. The paranoid old matriarch approaches first. She sniffs the steel posts, inspects the perimeter, and senses no pressure. Slowly, she steps inside to eat. Day after day, she learns that this metal circle is not a threat. By days 11 to 15, the entire sounder considers the interior of that trap to be the safest, most abundant dining hall in the entire county. They go from hyper-vigilant wild animals to calm, predictable guests. That brings us to the second layer, advanced technological surveillance. Positioned high in the trees above the bait site are cellular, connected, infrared AI cameras. These are not standard trail cameras that just take a picture when something walks by. They run real-time image recognition algorithms designed to count every single snout in the enclosure. This leads to the golden rule of modern trapping. If the camera counts 19 hogs inside the ring, but historical data shows the sounder has 20 members, you do not trigger the trap. You wait. If you drop the gate on 19 pigs and leave one outside, you have failed. That lone survivor, usually the sharp old matriarch or a cautious scout, will witness the trap drop, learn the mechanism instantly, and never step foot near a steel structure again. Even worse, she will lead her future litters away from bait sites for the rest of her life. The AI system ensures that human emotion or impatience never pulls the trigger early. It waits until 100% of the herd is gathered at the center. The final layer is instantaneous physical capture. Traditional hog traps used heavy swing gates or guillotine doors at a single entrance. The moment a gate slammed shut, the pigs near the opening would spook, and the rest would scatter horizontally out the sides before the door hit the ground. Modern systems, like the pig brig or circular drop net designs, solve this problem with physics. When the AI camera confirms every single hog is inside and focused on the bait, a remote cellular signal disengages the overhead latches. The heavy netting or solid steel ring drops straight down from above, slamming to the ground in less than 0.3 seconds. That fraction of a second is crucial. A wild hog has incredible horizontal speed, but it cannot react vertically. Before a boar can even register the sound of the latch releasing, 3,000 pounds of steel or heavy-duty drop netting seals the perimeter flush against the dirt. There are no doors to squeeze through, no weak points to root under, and no time to jump. By replacing blind aggression with behavioral engineering, cellular technology, and rapid physical capture, wildlife managers turned a dismal 5% success rate into a jaw-dropping 90% capture rate. Entire sounders, from the matriarch down to the smallest piglet, are captured in a single night without a single gunshot fired. It proved once and for all that the ultimate weapon against nature is not a bigger gun, but a deeper understanding of the mind. Once you drop the trap on 30 or 40 wild hogs in a single night, the conversation shifts immediately. You are no longer dealing with a destructive pest destroying a farmer's field. Suddenly you are standing in front of tons of high-grade organic meat. In a world struggling with sustainable food resources, simply burying or throwing away that harvest makes zero sense. The real victory comes when you turn an environmental disaster into culinary gold. To appreciate what makes Texas wild boar so special on a dinner plate, you have to look at how these animals live. Unlike domestic farm pigs raised in cramped concrete pens and fed soft grain, wild boars spend every living moment on the move. They roam miles a day through dense brush, rooting up acorns, wild pecans, native roots, and wild herbs. That active lifestyle completely alters their meat profile. Wild boar meat is exceptionally lean, packed with dense muscle tissue, and boasts a deep, complex flavor that is earthy, nutty, and slightly sweet. There is virtually no soft fat here. It is pure, nutrient-dense muscle infused with the natural diet of the Texas wilderness. However, cooking wild boar is an art form. If you try to slap a wild boar steak onto a screaming hot grill like a domestic pork chop, you are going to end up with something that chews like an old leather boot. Those tight muscle fibers and dense connective tissues demand respect, patience, and time-honored cooking tradition. This is where the classic Texas tradition of low and slow pit barbecue comes in. Take a massive, tough shoulder roast from a mature wild boar. Pitmasters trim the exterior, leaving just enough natural lean meat exposed. Then coat it with a heavy, coarse rub of kosher salt, cracked black pepper, and yellow mustard powder. Then comes the smoke. The meat goes into an offset pit smoker fueled entirely by seasoned post oak wood. The pitmaster keeps the pit running steady at a low temperature, around 220 to 240 degrees Fahrenheit. The meat stays in that fragrant oak smoke for 12 agonizingly slow hours. During those 12 hours, something miraculous happens on a molecular level. That gentle, indirect heat steadily breaks down the tough collagen and stubborn connective tissues woven throughout the shoulder muscles. The tough collagen slowly melts, transforming into rich, velvety gelatin that bathes every single muscle fiber from the inside out. When you pull that shoulder out of the pit, the exterior has formed a dark, savory mahogany bark infused with rich oak smoke. The inside is so tender it literally pulls apart with your fingers, completely dripping with rich flavor. It delivers a rich, savory taste that leaves standard grocery store pork far behind. Then there are the cuts that require a different kind of culinary magic, like the wild boar shanks. These leg portions do the heavy lifting for the animal, making them filled with tough muscle bands. But when you apply the classic French braising technique, those shanks transform into a restaurant-worthy masterpiece. The shanks are seared in a heavy cast-iron Dutch oven until golden brown on all sides to lock in the flavor. Then, aromatics like diced onions, carrots, garlic, and fresh rosemary are tossed in, followed by a heavy pour of dry red wine and rich beef bone broth. The pot is covered and placed into a slow oven for 4 to 5 hours. As the braising liquid simmers softly, the acidity of the red wine works alongside the low heat to relax the dense muscle fibers. The rich marrow inside the leg bones melts out into the sauce, thickening it into a dark, luxurious gravy. By the time it comes out, the meat slides completely off the bone with a butter knife, offering a rich, velvety texture that rivals the finest osso buco served in high-end European bistros. Turning a destructive pest into an incredible meal changes the entire dynamic of the fight. It respects the animal, restores balance to the land, and reminds us that nature often hides its greatest treasures behind its toughest challenges. It is 2 a.m. in Texas. Jim sits quietly in his kitchen, sipping hot coffee. His phone lights up with a single notification. The trap dropped. 22 hogs captured safely, without firing a single shot. For 500 years we thought brute force could conquer nature, but this war proved that our greatest strength is not firepower. It is patience, observation, and understanding. When we stop fighting nature and start learning from it, real solutions begin. How do you tackle the tough challenges in your own life? Drop your thoughts in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.